We totally support the claim on unification with Taiwan, and I think we will supply China all the aid, all the infrastructure that we possess in order to do that. Asian NATO or AUKUS and both is against China. It is already done. It is not about guessing what it can it be made in future. It is already done. So we are dealing with that. That is against China. And I think that now the most important point in dealing with NATO expansion in Europe against Russia and creating of equivalent of NATO in Asia, it is precisely the alliance of Russia and China as a kind of decisive and main element for multipolarity. So I think that Russia, on the strategical level, should give to China total support dealing with Quad and AUKUS. Total. We should, in the Taiwan case, in all other security issues in the Pacific region, be totally, unquestionably, and decisively on the side of China. Because we're in the same position. We have the same enemy and we have the same goal. The prosperity of people in a multipolar world and the global peace, multipolar peace, not Pax Americana. We need real, balanced, democratic peace. And for that reason, I think that we should be ready to give to China all support, military, strategically, and weapon support, in nuclear support, in all elements dealing with these threat to China in Pacific. Instead, we appreciate some very, very careful, not open and not too much publicized support of China, delicate support of China in Ukrainian crisis. And Russia has long memory, and we know who is the friend in the critical time and critical moment and who was the fool. So our position of Russia is very clear here. So Taiwan is China, and we recognize the sovereignty of continental China over this island. We totally support the claim on unification with Taiwan, and I think we will supply China all the aid, all the infrastructure that we possess in order to do that.
Concerning the issue of Taiwan, as we all know, this one China principle is already there since founding of the People's Republic in 1949. All countries with diplomatic relations with China recognize that principle. So Taiwan is a part of China. And the unification of Taiwan with Chinese mainland is within the Chinese constitution. And even in Taiwan's so-called constitution, Taiwan is part of China. So there's no problem whatsoever concerning Taiwan being part of China. So this is very important. Second, whether the United States will intervene militarily or not, China will unify with Taiwan. We always tell the United States very candidly, please do not play with fire. If you intervene militarily, you will be defeated. Very clear cut. And I also remind my American friends the fact that during the Cold War, actually the Soviet Union and the United States did not fight directly. There were proxy wars in other parts of the world. But China and the United States were directly confronting each other on the Korean battlefield, on the Vietnam battlefield. We all know who was the loser. Yeah. So it's very clear cut. This is the bottom line and China's core interest. There's no room of maneuvering or whatever. So very clear cut. we hope very much for a peaceful solution. Most probably it will be resolved peacefully, but we always maintain this position. We have the right to use non-military means to achieve unification. And we are the believer in the art of martial by Sun Tzu, written over 2,000 years ago. The first principle is to be cautious about the use of force. So we are very cautious. The threshold of using of force in the case of China as a major power is usually higher than most other major powers. Yet, once there are no other choice but use of force for the unification of the motherland, it will be swift, it will be decisive, it will be over within days. Yeah. So this is very clear cut.
So we are in more or less in the same position with Ukraine, with Taiwan. So something was taken from us by in the moment of weakness, of our historical weakness, by power or by force, by lie, by trick. And we were tricked and we were obliged to deal with such a loss because we were weak. And now we are going stronger. We are restoring China and Russia. We are restoring our sovereignty and independence, and we reaffirm ourselves. The same, I think, relates to our relations to Islamic world. It is not just limited to China and Russia. We are moving by principles. And I think that participation of Russia in China and Syrian conflict shows how devoted to principles are we. And in Iraq, in the next moment, I think, yesterday I have met a very important highest level delegation from Iraq, and they are going to make departure of American troops there, and they are going to begin the restoration of their state, and they have all their hope on Russia in military aspect and on China on financial, economical aspect. So we remake the world, and we are going with China to reestablish the dignity and independence of Islamic world, Islamic civilization. But in order to do that, we should solve some domestic problem with Taiwan and with Ukraine. We understand because we are fighting for principles, not only for national interests. It's not about nation. It is about civilization state. And I think that the book of Mr. Zhang Weiwei, Chinese Wave, civilization state, is key element to understand the profound, deep relation and deep motivations of China. And we could apply the same for Eurasianist reading of Russian politics. And we could, from that, deduce our future mutual relations in front of these some regional problems, not only in Ukraine or in Taiwan, as well. Our support to Islamic civilization from Morocco to Indonesia. We have the same relations. We need to prosper and to be independent in becoming independent civilization state or some sub-civilization alliance of sub-civilization states. It is in our plans. We have seriously decided to remake the world on the multipolar scheme, and all concrete regional issues, they form the whole spectrum of our fight against hegemony and unipolarity, wherever it appears. Wherever there is United States globalist imperialist hegemony, we should fight that. In Ukraine, in Taiwan, in Middle East, in Syria, and Libya, everywhere, in Europe. So that is about the alternative world vision, and the majority of world population is on our side. It is not on the informational level, in the and the network and some economic and cultural elements, it seems that they have already won. It is not that. So it is just a great ongoing fight about the future. And so Taiwan is for us as important, I would say, Chinese Taiwan, continental control Taiwan is as important as Ukraine. You could not imagine how linked these issues are in our eyes, because for us, they are the examples of real multipolarity and the victory over unipolarity.